Evaporative Purge Valves. Okay. What anybody watching this should do, even if you're not having this problem right now, if you just happened upon my video here, please. You know, I'm here to help people. I'm not selling anything. Evaporative Purge Valves, okay? This can have a lot to do with the way your engine in your vehicle runs. And it can make your life very difficult to where that when you go to crank them, it can be longer cranking times. It takes a long time to start, or when they're hot, long cranking times to where they just won't start for a while at all. And it can be due to what is evaporative purge valves. A purge valve on a vehicle, what it does, its function. Okay, you have a rubber hose that goes to your gas tank. That's for gasoline vapors, okay? Alright, and then you have a hose that hooks up either to your intake manifold or your intake throttle body on your engine. Alright? Now, when an engine is idling, these purge valves are supposed to be closed. Because if they are stuck open or they are partially open, what will occur is your air-fuel mixture ratio, it can throw a code. Okay, now the code, like, okay, the purge valve I am going to show you directly and explain the details of it. This particular one is for the 4.6 Ford V8, and I think the 5.4 Ford V8 uses the same thing. This, and the one I'm showing you, goes on a 2000 Ford F-150 pickup with a 4.6 engine. It has 2 bolt holes, as you can see, on each end that bolts up to the firewall. Okay, 2 small bolts, and the heads on them are 10 millimeter, I believe. Now, I'm pretty sure they're 10 millimeter. Okay. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Bear with me, because, man, I can make your life a lot easier if you'll friggin' listen to me. There's a lot of the information you're getting on the internet about purge valves and how to test them. Do you know that there's only probably 50% accuracy to what you're seeing? Only 50%, because they're leaving out a big, big part of the operation of a purge valve. A purge valve has a vacuum fitting on the bottom of it. On this one, you probably won't even be able to see it, but it's where my finger is. You see, like, over here, okay, you have your 2, hold on, here. See, this goes, let me get this in a way where y'all see. Okay, do y'all see the 2 fittings right over here? Or no, right over here. So you got 2 fittings. Okay, you see this top one right here? Okay, on this particular purge valve, this goes to your throttle body on your intake. It's on your intake manifold. Okay, this bottom one right here, this goes to the hose that goes to your fuel tank. Okay? So this is your suction end right here, you know, from your engine's intake. And then this causes it to suck the vapors off the top of your fuel tank on this one right here. But it but it doesn't stop there. You still have a small vacuum fitting where a vacuum line goes, where my finger is under it right here, See, and you're probably not going to be able to see it in this video. It's a small vacuum fitting. Okay, and it's on the same vacuum lines that goes to your EGR valve and your EGR sensor. Okay, it's the same ones. Okay, that vacuum fitting, here's how this operates, this purge valve. It works the opposite of an EGR valve. Okay, when an engine is idling, see, that's when your vacuum hoses, they're on your engine, like on your EGR, that pushes onto the top of your EGR. Okay, the suction opens that EGR valve. But when you raise your idle, or you're driving your vehicle, see, the vacuum drops. You don't have any vacuum anymore if it's your small vacuum lines. Okay, because your throttle body, the throttle is open. See, letting in more air, which it drops the vacuum in the intake manifold and or the intake throttle body is empty. So the same thing occurs. So your EGR shuts off when you raise your engine above idle or you're driving it. The only time your EGR valve operates is just when your engine is idling. See, when the vacuum can open the EGR valve. Okay, the purge valve operates the opposite as the EGR valve. The vacuum fitting that goes on it, the very small one, not these big ones, but the very small one, okay, when vacuum is on this, when it's idling, it keeps the purge valve closed. It keeps it closed. Closed, people. Alright? Now, when you raise your idle, what happens is there's no vacuum on this small vacuum connection. See? There's no vacuum any longer. And what happens? The purge valve opens, which allows the intake to suck air through this and then suck air through the hose that goes to your gas tank. That's how that operates. When you pull up to a red light, or you're stopped and your engine's just idling, this purge valve is going to close. That's how this operates. Alright, in the procedures they show, like how to test these, like you can take, or when the engine's just idling, you can take the bottom connection off, or the connection, the large hose that goes to the gas tank, take it off. When the engine's idling, it shouldn't have any suction. But then when you raise the idle, then that's when it should have the suction. But when it's idling, there should be no suction through this, the one that goes to the gas tank. When you pull it off, to test it, there should be no suction here. You see? Meaning that the vacuum line is working. But if that vacuum line, let's say it had a leak in it. Now I'm talking about the small vacuum line again. See, I'm taking my time explaining this because so many people will be, what? I know, hey, I'm retarded too, okay? Most everything I know, I learned it the hard way, people. I learned it the hard way, you know. And I'm trying to explain this the best that I can to you people. You know, now, if, let's say, you're not getting a connection where the plug goes in. So you have a plug that goes into these purge valves. Okay, let's say that plug is not working where the wires, you know, plugs into it. Okay, you're going to get a code, you know, like your engine light's going to come on, you're going to get a code. On Fords, it's going to be a PO443, which means purge valve. But all that is, that doesn't signify whether the purge valve is working right or is not working right. What that signifies is that there's either a short or the plug the wires are not getting current to where the electronic control module like registers a connection between this sensor and the ECM. So, see, that has nothing to do with the function. All that's for, that plug is for the ECM to know it is there. It is there. That's it. That's it. But that plug has nothing to do with the function of this purge valve. See, a lot of people don't know that. The function of this purge valve, it is operated by suction from your intake, okay, like on the top when I showed you here, alright, and then that vacuum line, when that engine's idling, you have vacuum. That vacuum keeps this purge valve closed. And then when you rev your engine or you're driving it, the vacuum drops, same as the vacuum drops for your EGR, but this one opens. So what happens when these are stuck open? Here's what the results you're going to get. It's going to be long cranking times after your engine is hot and you go somewhere. Alright, it's also going to cause your engine to surge like, it's going to give mass airflow symptoms, the same as a mass airflow, a defective mass airflow MAF sensor. It's going to give the same symptom, because see what is happening here is there's too much air for when that engine is idle. See, is what is happening when one of these damn things is stuck open. So let me give you advice. Before you pull off a purge valve and go to change it out or buy another one, pull the small vacuum line off of it, the small one. Like on these Ford F-150s or most of these 4.6 and Crown Victorias, Lincolns, da-da-da. Okay, those vacuum tubes are made out of plastic. And they have a rubber 90-degree elbow on them. Take that off of the purge valve, bring it up to your mouth and go blow through it. If it leaks out anywhere, like where it goes to the EGR or the EGR sensor, or around to where the vacuum lines are plugged on, well then you know that's your damn problem. You have a vacuum line leak, see? And the purge valve is fine, so you're going to have to seal off that vacuum leak. But generally, if those vacuum lines leak, the small plastic one, usually you're going to have an EGR code. Because if there's a leak in those vacuum lines, usually the EGR valve is not going to be open when the engine is idling. Therefore, it's going to throw a code. You see? But test that first. Test that first. Next thing you can check, okay, crank your engine. You don't have to take off, you know, your intake, this one or the one that goes to the tank. Here's a simpler way to fix it. The hose that goes to your intake, if it has the rubber hose, just simply pinch it closed while the engine's idling. Alright, then let it go, and if that engine's just idling and the engine surges up or surges down, you know that this isn't working right. Because when that engine is idling, these are not supposed to be open. They're not supposed to be open. They're supposed to be closed when it's idling, and then when you raise the engine above idle, as in rev the engine or you're driving the vehicle, this purge valve should be closed. You know, I only wish, you know, this is a video, I wished I could have it streaming, a live video right now. Because, man, I could help you people understand this. You know, it would help so many of you and save you costly, you know, replacing it. You know that AutoZone, those crooks, I'll tell you what, man, this is terrible. This is terrible. These people are gangsters. $96, people, for this little thing right here. $96. That's terrible. You can get these off of Amazon or eBay for about 35 bucks, you know, with free shipping. But before you go change one, check those things. Check those things. Now, if you ever have a purge valve and your engine's running and it hums and it goes, and between the hums, your engine will surge. Okay, what it is, the valve is opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing. You need to change that purge valve, is what you need to do. But always check those small vacuum lines. You see, that makes a lot of difference. And don't worry about that plug, because if that plug is not getting current that plugs into here, you're going to get a code. You're going to get a code. You know, no matter what kind of vehicle it is, you're going to get a code. So as long as you don't get a code, you know that plug-in wire is working right. Don't worry about that. It's that vacuum line, small vacuum line that goes in the bottom, you know, and make sure your fittings here, or where it goes on the back of the intake manifold or throttle body, make sure those aren't leaking. The best way to do that, to find out if you have a leak on one of these, take a can of WD-40, spray around this while the engine's running. Does the idle change? Okay, if the idle changes, you've got a leak. Spray around where that hose goes on the intake manifold or throttle body. Does the idle change? If the idle doesn't change, well then it's not leaking. There you go. What else, people? What else? YouTube, I wish you would let people view my videos, and I'll tell you why. Because it's people like your own family, your daughters, brothers, sisters, relatives. If you will let people see my videos, it can help people. It can help them. Let them be viewed. You know, because just for the crooks to be viewed, these shops that lie to people, how's that going to help anybody? The average person, it's not going to help them. You've got to think for the common person, the consumer, you know, in America or all over the earth. You know, do the right thing. But people, as always say, remember, Jesus Christ is the answer, okay? But anyway, later, and I hope you're all doing great. Hope you're all doing great. If you have any problems or something you're unclear about, leave me a comment. But now I'm not going to help you diagnose your whole car up and down, because I have had comments in the past, and I'll give a person an answer and they'll say, well, then I've got this other problem that happened a month ago. You know, and they want you to be their online mechanic. Well, what makes you think we have time for that? We have a life too, just like y'all do. Money. Bills, you know, we've got to feed ourselves, all that stuff. But anyway, later.